very graceful, very elegant, and an alcoholic beverage. Wine is sort of a status symbol. Wine is something which is a very showman person. Wine is a grape juice based alcoholic beverage. Today we will be learning about different types of wine, how to serve them, and how to actually make it a show, because we are the front of the house people. We are the F&B service people, and F&B service people are actually the showrunner of the restaurant. So in this particular session, we will be understanding how to open a wine, how to offer the wine to be, and actually how to make it a show. So today we will be studying about three types of wine and their service. First is the table wine or a still wine, the basic category of wine. A wine, table wine suggests this particular wine goes on every table. So we will be studying about how to pour, how to service the table wine. Then we have a vintage wine. Vintage wine are lot more expensive and are very much taste worthy wines. So this particular wines are actually more of the acquired taste thing, and if somebody is actually investing in their vintage wine are the old types of wine. If they are investing in these types of wine, then they actually prefer or they actually ask for a better service. Now, the last wine we will be talking about is sparkling wine. You must have seen there are celebrations, especially in the movies. There are big celebrations where one person or the host actually pops out the champagne. Woohoo, this is a party. So it is sort of a celebration wine. Champagne is also a type of sparkling wine. So apart from our basic table wine and a vintage wine, sparkling wines are filled with the effervescence. What is effervescence? Effervescence is actually the bubbles, the fizz you get. So just like the Coca-Colas or the cold drinks with the fizz. So these particular wines are actually packed and sealed in a different way. Also, these particular wines have a very different side of service. So how to manage all these things and make it a show in a very elegant way is our session today. So now let's just go around what we will be using in this particular session. So in this particular session we will be having different sort of glassware which is used for the wines. This particular glassware is a stemware where it has a stem. Why it has a stem is because wines are something very temperature delicate things. Each and every wine have a certain temperature and it is enjoyed like that only. So that's why we don't want our hand to actually make it warm. So that's why people use this stem, and we as a service people, we hold it like this to actually make it more elegant. So this particular wine glass is a white wine glass because it has a small bowl, and because white wine have less of tannins and flavonoids, so it requires very less amount of air. So that's why we have small white wine glass. Now coming next to a bigger version. So this bigger version is actually a red wine glass. Red wine glass, it is red in color. It has more of tannins and flavonoids. So it requires more room to actually breathe. So this particular big bowl provide more room to breathe and to make wine taste more flavonoid. So this is our red wine glass. Now coming to my favorite actually, the champagne tulip, the champagne flute. If you actually watch it from here, this particular glass is very much sleek in design. It's like a flute or a tube type. Why? Because it is going to hold the effervescence. We don't want air to actually get inside this because it can actually ruin our effervescence or our fizz that our sparkling wine can actually create and make it a good taste. Now people may ask why we have another very big glass, which is not actually a glass but more of a jug-like glass. So this particular jug-like glass is called decanter. Decant is actually to fill out our wine into this particular jug, this particular decanter jug. What happened when we actually drink or order the vintage wine? Though vintage wines are very old, so what happened? Because of this old aging, some wine can be like 50 years old wine. So that is very obviously understood that this type of particular wine can have sediments. This type of particular wine can have sediments. So what happens? Sediments can mix to our wine and can ruin the taste. So what we do? Sorry. We actually decant our wine over here and then we serve this so that sediments can get different from the wine. Now here we have a waiter's friend. Why I have called this a waiter friend? Because it's a bottle opener along with a wine opener. Because wine are very elegant sort of drink. It requires to maintain a certain temperature. It requires to maintain a certain humidity. So what happens? Our wines are usually stuck with a cork. This particular side of thing which not just protect our wine but also makes a room to make it breathable, because wine is a grape juice based alcohol, so it anyways have some sort of good bacteria. Now coming forward to the next thing, you might be assuming why I have a candle over here when we are not having a candlelight dinner. This particular candle is gonna help us to remove or to differentiate the sediments from the wine for our vintage wine. And another waiter's friend, the service cloth. So now what is the wine process? We go to the guest, we ask for their order. Now there might be chances ki how guests gonna order their wine. So what happened? We offer guest a wine list, just like a menu card. Guest ordered it from there and then we prepare for their service. So how to prepare for a service? So first we'll be talking about the table wine. So for the table wine, I'm gonna get my salvo. This particular salvo. Now if a guest have ordered for a white wine, so I'm gonna take my white wine glass and my bottle of wine. So now I just go towards the guest, taking along my waiter's friend always with me. That's why it is waiter's friend. It's gonna be handy with you all the time. I go towards the guest and ask or inform the guest, good morning, good afternoon, or the greetings. Good afternoon, ma'am. Here's of ordered wine. I'll just keep my wine glass at the tip of the knife. Now with the help of my serving or my napkin, I'll just over my hand in a cradle position, like a baby, because this particular wine is our baby. It is in the cradle position and will inform my guest about the wine. I'm gonna read the label. Excuse me, ma'am, this is your Fartally wine, a Cabernet Sauvignon vintage of 2011. What I did, I just read out the label. I give the information of the wine to the guest so that guest can approve ki yes, this is my wine and I know my wine, a Cabernet Sauvignon, a grey type from which this particular wine is present. Now I'll ask for the permission. May I? Guest will nod. Yes. So now here comes the artistic part. I'll place the wine in front of the guest and take out my waiter's friend. So what usually happens, wines come in a sealed package. So what we do, we just make a cut over here. We make cut over here and we remove the label, packing label. Now it has a cork. It can't be removed from my bare hand. So what we'll do, we'll open our waiter's friend. Now always make sure the label of wine is in front of the guest because it's their bottle, it's their wine and they should know what type of wine they're gonna have. So we'll hold it from the neck and with the pointed part, we're gonna pierce it out. Now, we're just gonna do twist. Gonna twist it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now if you see, it's totally inside the cork. Now what we'll do? We're gonna do some physics. With this, we're gonna hold it up. This particular thing, this particular lever gonna give us the grip and from here we're gonna lift it up. We're gonna lift it up. If you see our cork is getting out, we're gonna lift it up and little twist and we have got our cork out. Now the next part. We're gonna clean our mouth of the bottle. Why I have done that? It's because there might be chances there is some drip over here. So to avoid the dripping and the spoilage, we'll just clean it up. Now, with my right hand, I'm gonna take the wine and hold my bottle very firmly. And the guest label is in front of the guest. Now, with my right leg out, I'm gonna pour a tasting pouring to the guest. That will be around the 5 or 10, 5, 6 ml. So it will be poured very slowly to the bowl and I'm gonna stop. Now what I'm doing, I'm just twisting it out and I'm gonna stop and gonna wipe it out so to avoid any dripping. Now the guest will check the wine and will approve the wine. Guest will check the wine. Guest gonna check the wine and gonna approve it. Now I will, if the guest is alone, then we are gonna pour directly to the guest class, or if a guest have a guest along with them, then what we gonna do? We are going to serve our wine to first our guest, and always ladies first. Ladies gonna get their wine service before the host, and at the end I will come to the host and will pour 15 ml of the alcohol, 15-30, or according to the guest need. I'm gonna pour and just twist and hold it up. We'll place the bottle in front of the guest and enjoy your drink. Thank you. So here, now our service of a table wine is done. You must be assuming that why this particular wine is totally clear, because as per the rules and restrictions and the code of conduct at the institution or the any education institution, alcohol or sort of things are prohibited. So to make you understand more, I have filled something which is non-alcoholic to it. So for the first, I have filled it up with the water. Now for the second, I have instead of wine, I have used grape juice and a cranberry juice to make it look more authentic or to make you visualize it in a more better way. Now what happened? First was our table wine or a still wine. Now second wine is the vintage wine. Vintage wine, again a wine which is very much old. It can have sediments and it is much more expensive than a table wine. So what we'll do, if guest gives the order of the still wine, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take our wine in a wine holder or a wine cradle to actually don't disturb the sediments, because sediments are settled over here at the bottom of the wine. We're gonna take our wine like this. But before that, I'm gonna do a setup, because this particular wine I'll be demonstrating it with the red wine. So I'm gonna take my red wine glass to the table and will place it up near the white wine glass. If you will see, I am making a pattern which is going diagonally towards the outside. This particular pattern, so that our guests can actually enjoy the wine and without disturbing their hand movements. Now what we're gonna do? We're gonna decant our wine. So let's decant our wine. So for the decanting of our wine, we're gonna light this candle. And why I am lighting this candle, I'll inform you in a short time. This particular thing is done in front of the guest. Why? Because it is more of a showing, so that other guests can also watch and can order, because there is a lot of things special about this particular wine. I'm just gonna take my wine in this cradle position, slowly will lift it up because I don't want to disturb the sediments at the bottom. We'll take this wine to our guest to actually show it up. Now again the wine label reading. Ma'am, this is your ordered wine, a Sula Vineyard vintage of 1980. Okay? Guests will approve. Now coming back to my station, which is placed in front of the guest. Again the same thing. Since we are using a different bottle, same thing, the cork thing is done over here, and we open our wine very slowly. Now imagine I have a cork in my hand instead of this bottle cap. As a server, it is my responsibility to make sure my guests are getting a proper taste and a good product. So I'm gonna sniff it to actually judge the wine through the smell and to make sure it is not foul smell. So I'm gonna sniff it up. With the help, I'm now gonna take my decanter with me and gonna place my wine over here. So to make sure that I can see through it, if you can come close, you may see that you can see what is inside the bottle with the help of the light. This particular light gonna tell when sediments are accumulating over here, so that I can just stop the pouring and avoid the sediments. Usually 90% of wine we can decant it, 5 to 10% is gonna mix with the sediments. So I'm gonna take and slowly start pouring out. I'm gonna slowly pour it. Why I am slowly? So that sediments don't mix with my wine. And as soon as I see that my sediments are accumulating, I'm gonna stop the pouring and keep it down. Now with the help of my wine decanter, I'm gonna pour my wine to the guest. Again, my waiter's friend. Now pouring a wine from a decanter is actually very easy, not much of a hassle, because decanter is not more of a bottle but a jug. So I'm gonna take my wine to the guest. And same fashion like a bottle, I'm gonna pour. First, I'm gonna pour the tasting amount for the guest. And drips are off. Now the guest gonna again taste the wine. Guest can sniff the wine, can swirl it up, and guess what happened? I have holded my decanter like this. I may can hold it up like this as well. Nothing wrong, because my hands are not touching the wine. So now I'll pour it up like this. And I'll pick it up and pour it. So if you see the difference between the two glasses, and I'm gonna place this particular decanter in front of the guest. Also, I'm gonna take my bottle, because guest is going to drink this particular wine. I'm gonna take this bottle to the place it in front of the guest. Now if you see why I have used different glass, and in first time only I have told you that I am gonna use different glass, because if you see, this particular wine needs air to breathe, and this needs a very little amount of air to breathe. So if the guest will swirl it up, it's gonna enhance the taste of the wine. Now we are on our last part of the wine service. Almost the last, the celebration wine. The celebration wine, the sparkling wine, which has a effervescence in this. So this particular wine comes a totally sealed pack and it has a very pressurized cork sealing. It can pop it out very fast and can cause the damage. This particular wine is served chilled around 5 to 8 degrees Celsius. Chilled wine. So to maintain the temperature of the wine, I am gonna use ice bucket. I place my wine in the ice bucket. We'll cover it up and we'll take it to the guest. To maintain the temperature and the taste of the wine. Now, I'll just remove the cover and will take out my wine. Since it is placed in the ice, it may have the droplets. So, I'm gonna wipe it out and present the particular wine to the guest. And again, the label. Now, this is our Valentino wine, a very nice sparkling wine for the celebration or the range, made in India. ठीक है? उसके बाद, now next thing, I'm gonna place my wine in front of the guest. I'm gonna get my glass. So this particular wine is going to be in the flute, also called the champagne flute, because the most famous sparkling wine is the champagne. I'm gonna place the glass in front of the guest like this. Now what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna defoil my wine. So with the help of my waiter's friend, and all these things I'm going to do in front of the guest. Placing the label in front of the guest, I'm going to make a cut. A slit like this and a slit like this. Now I'm going to a slit and open the foil and keep it in with me to avoid any spillage or the garbage. Now if you see, it is totally locked up. So what I am going to do? I am going to hold it very firmly with my hand like this to avoid any pop or the fizz, and slowly will open the wire casing. Now I'll lift it up and will you have heard the pop sound and there is no fizz, so there is no wastage of the alcohol. Now I'm gonna pour again the tasting amount. Guess gonna taste it. And meanwhile the guest is tasting, you can actually keep the label in front of the guest. Now I'm going to pour the wine in such a way, in a very slow way, so that fizz or the effervescence don't come out of the glass. Now, all the wines I was placing it on the table, but this particular wine will go inside the wine stand and will be in front of the guest. And with this, we are done with the pouring of three different types of wine. We have seen a small recap. We have seen the pouring of the table wine. We have seen the pouring of a decanted wine. And last, the celebration sparkling wine. If any questions, the forum is open. We have also had an experience with opening the cork. If you see the cork is about vineyard. And this particular cork are actually custom made as per the bottles. We cannot use the cork of one bottle to another bottle. Any questions? I guess there are no questions coming up.
Someone are asking why it is important.
Okay, why it is important?
Why is it important to explain wine table to guests?
It is important because wine is something expensive and wine is a very graceful methods of alcohol making, and particular wines are have different tastes of the grapes it is being prepared. So that's why we inform the guests to for them to know their wine. Also, guests can get assured that whatever wine I have ordered for, they have got that particular wine only. There must be question if nobody have asked for. This particular question is why I have saying champagne is different and I am saying sparkling wine.
Sparkling wine.
Yeah. Yes, so we have got the question. Why sparkling wines and champagnes are different? They are not different, but there is a slight difference in this. All sparkling wines are not champagne, but all champagnes are the sparkling wine. It is because champagne is a particular sparkling wine is prepared at a particular French region of Champagne. That's why if the particular sparkling wine is prepared in the Champagne region of the France, then only it can be called champagne, because the weather quality, the grape quality and the method of preparation is exclusive to that place. That's why all champagnes are sparkling wine, but all sparkling wines are not champagne. You can get Indianized sparkling wines as well, but you can't get Indian made champagnes. Any more questions? So I guess this is the end of our session. Hope you guys have enjoyed this particular session, and if any question you can reach me out. Thank you.